Crisis continues to grow along the Texas-Mexico border. Republicans say the president's executive actions on deportations helped cause the crisis in the first place and are now demanding he visit the border next week when he visits Texas to raise money for Democrats. White House officials say congressional Republicans need to step up and help the president pass comprehensive immigration reform. Many people say allowing the unaccompanied children to remain in the U.S. is not more humane than sending them back. But what should be done to stop the flow? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you. Weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also send a tweet using the hashtag Fox26forlife. In our newsroom again, we have our legal analyst Chris Tritico, news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. All right, guys, what should be done at this point?
You know, there are so many problems with this. First, I do tend to agree that the president's executive actions have been misinterpreted in Central and South America and Mexico that have helped cause this current issue. Even though I don't think that's what the president meant, that's the way it's being reported down there by the people who are making money bringing these children here. Second, I think another problem is that the House of Representatives refuses to take up immigration and told the president last week, John Boehner told the president last week that the House would not be able to take up immigration this calendar year. And so their refusal to take it up at all is compounding the problem while the Republicans are hitting the president about the head and shoulders for not doing anything. And finally, the major issue with respect to these children is a law that was passed when George Bush was president that limits the ability of the government to send children back to their home countries if they don't know where they're sending them to. In other words, if they have a home to go to, that limits the ability of the United States government to deport these children, Jackie Bally. You've got a whole host of problems that have all come in together at the same time that's causing this problem.
Unfortunately, when you give the perception that if you enter the country illegally, nothing will happen to you, then you see the influx that we're having.
Now, you know that's not what the president said.
I didn't say he said that. I said the perception. When you have the perception that you're not going to enforce the laws, and if you enter illegally, nothing happens, that's the perception that's being given to a lot of the members in these countries as to why we're seeing the influx that we're having. I referred to the New York Times article earlier, and they were saying the number could be as high as 290,000. So we see a 50,000 children, then they're quoting 290,000 people. But we do know that it is a problem. The governor has reached out to the president several times. He is in Texas this week. He is attending to fundraisers. People from his office have said that as of yet, there's nothing on his schedule to visit the border. But we do know there's an issue, I think by the president saying that he wants to put more money into this issue. He is now acknowledging that there is a problem.
The president asked for $2 billion from Congress. Right. John Boehner said, we're not taking it up this year. Doesn't the House have a duty? The Senate passed a bill. Why doesn't the House do anything, pass anything, so it can go into conference?
Right. It's easy to blame President Obama, but if you look at the law that was passed both by the House and Senate, unanimously signed by George Bush, makes it illegal for the United States government to send back these kids. That's a fact. And then, you know, when you have Governor Perry on the one hand saying Texas has spent $500 million in protecting the border and then takes no responsibility for protecting the border. How did we spend $500 million and we're ineffective?
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
All right, Tony is responding to Jackie right now. He says, amen, stop the illegal immigration into this country. How do you keep terrorists out if you don't? Mickey says, I love children, but until we turn the influx of people away at the border, the problem will only get greater. Heading over to our Facebook page, John says, get out of the North American Free Trade Agreement, cease all foreign aid to Mexico and Central American countries that fail to control their populations, build the wall, and call out the National Guard.
Okay, well, there you go. Problem
He's got
solved.
a whole list of ideas,
Problem
guys.
solved. Mm-hmm. You know, don't you think that if the House would just pass anything and send it into a conference committee, at least this would get moving, instead of continually refusing to act?
The House has said repeatedly, we want to have the border more secure.
Then pass a law. Pass something.
And we've said repeatedly, we want to have the border more secure. The president has said, no, we want to do this, we want to do that. In fact, a lot of the money that he is sending the least amount is for border security. So it's easy for the Democrats to point the finger at the Republicans when the Democrats and the president are not doing anything to secure our borders.
Okay, my question
and the
is,
people are
wouldn't it-
getting here illegally
wouldn't it
because
help
the
if they
borders
would
are not
pass-
secure.
If they would just pass something and send it into a conference committee with the Senate, who has already passed something, at least it would get moving, wouldn't it?
Well, you didn't hear my response. I will repeat it. The Republicans have said what they want to pass is border security.
Then pass
you
it.
have your Democrats and you have the president who's saying he's not going to do that.
The Senate bill that passed tripled the funding for Border Patrol. Then you would be able to have 44,000 Border Patrol agents pass through the Senate. The House won't pass that
It's stalled in the House.
Right, so we can argue this back and forth on multiple points, but the reality is the Republican House is completely ineffective. They can't pass legislation if their life depended on it, and because of that, our country stalled on major issues
All
like
right, we're going to have
this.
to leave it right there. Sally, we'll be back next week with 4 really good topics.
All right, we look forward to it. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks so much.